Hi everyone, Alvin here. Welcome to the Power BI tutorial. Today, you will learn how to connect to Excel file in SharePoint and OneDrive and set scheduled refresh in Power BI service. Remember to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications. And to encourage me to produce more tutorials, please click the like button. When we connect to an Excel file, we typically use the Excel connector. And we navigate to the file location in SharePoint or OneDrive and select the file name and click Open and import in the worksheet. And now let's publish the Power BI report to Power BI service. Let's select My Workspace. And when it's done publishing, click on the link to open it up in Power BI service. And let's click on to the ellipses, select See Related Content and go to the data sets and click on Settings. And scroll down to Scheduled Refresh. And you will see that the Scheduled Refresh area is grayed out and we are not able to set any Scheduled Refresh. And why is that so? Let's head back to Power Query Editor in Power BI Desktop. Within the Applied Steps window, click on to the Source step and look at the formula bar. If a formula bar is not turned on, head to the ribbon, click onto the View tab and turn on formula bar. When you look at the M code, the Excel connector is connecting to the Excel file located on the local drive, which is the C drive in my case, and not Excel Online stored in the cloud in SharePoint or OneDrive. That's why scheduled refresh is not working. So what should we do? Use either the web connector or SharePoint folder connector instead. First, open up the Excel file on the desktop app, click on the File tab, and then Info, and click on Copy Path. This is how the copied web URLs look like for SharePoint and OneDrive for Business. Now, let's use the web connector to connect to the file. First, remove $web equals to 1 at the end, and then copy the URL. On Power BI Desktop, click on the Get Data icon and use the web connector. On the From Web window, paste the URL in and then click OK. You'll be prompted to provide your credentials to sign into SharePoint. Select Organizational Account, select the level to apply the settings to, then click Sign In. On the pop-up window, sign into your Microsoft Office 365 account. When you are done, click Connect. On the Navigator window, select the worksheet to be imported, then Load. Now let's publish the report to Power BI service. Click on the link to open up in powerbi.com. Then click on to the ellipses, then see Related Content. Click on the Dataset Settings. On the Data Source Credentials section, click on Edit Credentials. For the authentication method, select OAuth2 from the drop-down. For the privacy setting, select Organizational or your preferred privacy setting. Then click Sign In. You'll be prompted to sign into your Microsoft account. If you are successful, you'll be notified that your updates to the web data source have been applied. Expand on the Scheduled Refresh section, then toggle Keep Your Data Up to Date on. Select the refresh frequency, time zone, and configure up to 8 daily time slots for the refresh, and then click Apply. That's how we use the web connector. Next, let's use the SharePoint folder connector instead. What's the root URL for the SharePoint folder? For SharePoint site, the root URL is the part before SharePoint Documents. And for OneDrive for Business, copy the part before Documents. Open up Power BI Desktop, click on the Get Data icon and then More. Select File, then SharePoint Folder. On the SharePoint Folder URL window, paste the URL in and click OK. You'll be prompted to provide your credentials to sign into SharePoint. Select Microsoft account, select the level to apply the settings to, then click Sign In. On the pop-up window, sign into your Microsoft Office 365 account. When you are done, click Connect. On the Navigator window, you are shown all the files in the folder. Do not click on the Combine button at the bottom. If you click Combine, all the files in the folder will be combined in Power Query. Since you are importing only one file, click on the Transform Data button to open up Power Query Editor. Now, let's select the file to be imported. On the Name column, click on the drop-down and filter by the file name. If you have many files in SharePoint, you can first filter by folder path and then filter by file name. After filtering the file to be imported, on the Content column, click on Binary to import the Excel file. Then select the worksheet to be imported by clicking onto the table link. You can then continue with the transformations required to get the data into a structured format. For us, let's close Power Query Editor and publish the report to Power BI Service. Click on the link to open the report in powerbi.com. Then click on the ellipses, then see related content. Click on the dataset settings. On the data source credentials section, click on Edit Credentials. For the authentication method, select OAuth 2 from the drop-down. For the privacy setting, select Organizational. Then sign into your Microsoft account. Expand on the Schedule Refresh section. Then toggle Keep Your Data Up to Date on and configure the refresh frequencies. That's how we use the SharePoint folder connector. But what if you have previously used Excel connector in Power Query and applied many transformation steps subsequently? It would be really tedious to redo the steps, right? Is there a way to update the source step only in Power Query? The answer is yes. The easiest way is to use the web connector. Here, I have the sales query that I have previously imported in using the Excel connector. And how do I go about updating the data source? First, create a new query using the web connector. Paste the web URL of the Excel file and click OK. You'll be prompted to provide your credentials to sign into SharePoint. Select Organizational Account. Select the level to apply the settings to, then click Sign In. On the Navigator, select the worksheet. Select the newly created query. Within the applied steps, click on the Source step and copy the M code from the formula bar. Then select the existing Excel connector query. Click onto the Source step and paste the M code in. This is how you update the M code from the Excel connector to Web connector. Easy. Don't forget to delete the query using the Web connector. What if I prefer to use the SharePoint folder connector instead? It involves a few more steps, but it's doable. Here, similarly, I have the sales query that I have previously imported in using the Excel connector. To change the connector, first, create a new query using the SharePoint folder connector. Insert in the site URL, click OK. On the Navigator window, click on the Transform Data button, then use the drop-down on the Folder Path and Name column to filter the file to be imported. On the Content column, click on binary to import the Excel file, then select the worksheet to be imported. Since the SharePoint folder connector method involves more applied steps, to copy the M code, let me open up the Advanced Editor instead. On the Power Query ribbon, click on the Home tab and then Advanced Editor. Copy the rows in the Let section, excluding the In section. And then click Cancel to close the Advanced Editor window. Next, select the existing Excel connector query, open up the Advanced Editor window, remove the first few rows, including the worksheet selection code. Paste the code in, add a comma to the end of the last row of the pasted code, and click Done. Now, the source is updated with the SharePoint connector M code and the subsequent transformation steps are preserved. Now you may ask, is there a difference in performance using the web connector compared to the SharePoint folder connector? SharePoint folder connector involves a few more steps, but the difference in performance is minimal. So my suggestion is, if you are importing a single Excel file, use the web connector. If you are combining multiple Excel files with the same file format, use the SharePoint folder connector. I will explain in another tutorial how to combine or append multiple files using the folder import method. I hope we are now clear on how to connect to Excel file in SharePoint or OneDrive and set scheduled refresh in PowerBI.com. Remember to click the like button if you have not done so, and I'll see you in my future videos.